There's issue for the It's not been COVID. You're all right.
Brilliant. Okay. Right, welcome everyone to this strategy and policy meeting on the 26th of March. Are there any questions from the members of the public? No? Okay, thank you. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, I've had apologies this evening from councillors Mrs Coppins and Widdowson.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder of anyone who, agenda item 3 is to remind anyone who has any interest to declare on the agenda tonight to do so now, or they can do so during the meeting. Do you have to declare you're a trustee of the?
That's what I was just about to say.
You have to declare you're a trustee. You're
Trustee.
No, she's the
Oh,
outside body.
Are you on the outside body?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, right. With that one then. Okay, minutes to the strategy and policy meeting held on the 29th of January to approve their true and correct record. Any items of accuracy on page 1859, 1860, 1861,
Excuse me.
1862. It was a long meeting. 1863. 1864. And finally 1865.
I'm happy to second it.
Yeah, okay, I'll propose the minutes. You have to second. All those in favour? It's carried. I shall sign those at the end of the meeting. If you'll indulge me, I'm going to bring forward agenda item 8 on the youth provision and receive the presentations from both Santos Youth and the Ways. 15 minutes each, if we can do that.
I'll go straight there. Right.
Yes, we're going straight there. You don't have to listen to all the neighbourhood plan stuff and
I was wondering about the 365-page report.
yes, he was going to read all 365 pages.
I was more worried that you were going to go through counting the pages.
Right. If you're going first, do you mind leaving the room?
Absolutely fine.
We don't have a problem.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Okay.
I mean, you could actually watch it on live stream.
Oh, okay. Okay.
By the time I work that out,
It just stops people, introducing stuff that other people have mentioned. That's all. So, it's
Fine.
It's a courtesy. Okay. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you very much. I want to talk to you this evening about Sandhurst Youth, but I'm here with my colleague from Army Welfare Service because we are now working closely in partnership and we're going to present the full beam. Thank you. Sorry. Hello. Slide. Yeah. Thank you. Why are we here? What are we doing? Right. 10 years ago, the council and the church agreed to set up Sandhurst Youth. It's not there as commissioned work. It is there as a charity. It has a vision of every young person equipped with a dream. We're focused on seeing young people as assets to the town, not as problems or as folk in need of charity. And that very much builds upon the respect, responsibility and rights agenda of the council. We treat them with respect, we get respect back. Key aspects of youth work are 4 things really: continuity, availability, authentic voices and safe spaces. It's fundamentally a relational rather than transactional set of activities. And we're focused on serving young people between 11 and 21. And there are 2 important transitions in there, one from primary to secondary school and secondary basically out into the world. It's a shift from dependence as a child to independence as teenagers and now eventually interdependence as adults. So what have we offered to date and will continue to do? First of all, the schools work, mainly working with year 7 and 8 on transitions, friendship groups, etc. Sam Hunt, who is deputy head at Sandhurst School, wrote to us fairly recently, "I'm delighted to confirm that Sandhurst School has benefited enormously from our partnership with Sandhurst Youth. Sandhurst Youth has worked closely with us to create and provide a range of programmes to support the children at Sandhurst School. The programmes are aimed at building resilience, supporting students with the difficult transition from primary to secondary, and have greatly benefited many children. Sandhurst Youth has provided a unique and invaluable service to our school." I just want to mention in passing there, Sandhurst School also runs a phenomenal programme called Reaching Rwanda. It is helping young people learn about genocide and the consequences of it. We were very active in actually introducing them to the church, who have been part of the foundation of this charity, and the church actually contributed £20,000, and also the bell from the old St Mary's Church. And we also will be contributing some funds to their next trip from the Howard Stilliard Memorial Fund, which we administer. That's wound up now. The Dream Big Youth Club, we run on 11 to 18-year-olds every Sunday evening in term time. It's based at Sandhurst Baptist Church. We average about 250 youth contacts a year there. It's all about building friendship and confidence, learning skills. We did a food program and things like that. It's interesting that nearly something over half, actually, of the young people are neurodivergent. They need a safe space. They need continuity. They need predictability in order to feel safe. I picked up a comment from Facebook a couple of days ago, because we asked people for them. Me and my friends used to go to the youth club when we were at Sandhurst School. We absolutely loved going there. Some of the best memories were there. The worst part of it was having to go home at the end of the night. Detached work is the core of our work, something like 750 youth contacts per year. Their time, it's on their time, it's on their place, their agenda. It's building relationships as part of their network. We become a trusted friend. It takes time, it takes consistency. Engagement with Bracknell Forest antisocial behaviour and community safeguarding initiatives are key. Just for background, the antisocial behaviour indices for Sandhurst are less than half that for Bracknell Town. And a little example of the community safety angle of this, we were out one evening, mixed group of boys and girls. The girls were very agitated because they were receiving text messages from a third party, basically making very improper requests of them, nude requests, basically. We were able to talk with them, firstly, to take them through their own defence strategies and how to deal with that, but also coach them as to how to approach the police and who to ring and what to do, so that they actually made the report themselves rather than us running off like a school teacher and saying, "Oh, look, this is happening," etc. So that's very much about empowering the young people. Another example, actually, which is very relevant to this council here, the group that broke the barrier something like a year ago, and you very quite rightly took took a way through that with the police. But what we did afterwards was actually talk to them quite extensively about the principle of collective responsibility by association. They needed to recognise and really take on board for themselves that the law regards those that walked away as equally responsible for those that did the damage. They hadn't taken action to actually prevent the damage. And it took time to work that through with them and to help them really own it. Mentoring, we mentor some of the older young people. I brought along, I'm not going to pass them around, a couple of cards. This is a case study called E. I really appreciate everything you've done for me this past year. Thank you for being my mentor and helping me take important steps in my life. I'll miss our weekly chats. That's E, and this is E's parents. Thank you so much for all you've done for E. We couldn't have done it without you. Now that's quite interesting. The parents saying that they needed the support of youth workers to actually help move this young person from a very confused, not sure what she wanted to do with her life state to the point where she went off to university. And lastly, we focus on actually building community engagement. All of the things that I've just talked about are reported regularly. We do weekly reels on Facebook from Dream Big and on social media. We do quarterly articles with the SRA. We do the termly reports to here and to the church. And I was pleased to see an email from Mike Swaddling this morning to the council. Sandhurst Youth has contributed a page to the Sandhurst Residents Association magazine in every issue for the last 4 years. The articles are insightful and show a clear understanding of the issues facing young people today and how their local community can help. The SRA fully supports the work of Sandhurst Youth are doing and will gladly publicise it in any way within our remit. We're currently discussing with them how to involve younger people more with the magazine and the work of SRA, and their contribution is vital. So, just looking ahead now, Sandhurst, it's globally synonymous with the RMA. I travel the world, and if I say I'm from Sandhurst, they say, oh, the army place, that's the immediate response everywhere. Since 1973, it's been separated from us by a large fence. In 1972, I used to go to a youth club there, the Team Club. And about 18 months ago, Sandhurst Youth started working with Army Welfare Services, reaching in and supporting the families of these people. There's a real shortage in this area of trained resources. We've worked closely with Hope Zone in Crowthorne and Vision for Youth in Yakeley, in order to share and join up the resources. But from the middle of last year, we've been forming a partnership with AWS to align resources and energy. Sandhurst Youth has signed the Armed Forces Covenant, reflecting our commitment to the young people of the 450 families based in the RMA. With that, I hand over to Sarah McGee, who's a trustee of Sandhurst Youth and the senior community development worker at AWS.
Thank you very much, and thank you for listening. What I wanted to do now is look at our strategy and what we'd like to offer to the local area for the next 12 months. We have looked at some of the challenges, both with the young people behind the wire and outside. We're very mindful that we have seen a reduction in access to consistent youth provision. We've lost the community centre. It's been condemned in the RMAS. Those young people now have no local space. We've got an increased need for early intervention and prevention, gaps in youth voice, belonging and safe spaces, and a limited structured pathway for leadership and volunteering. The programme that we've put together responds directly to these needs, providing regular trusted spaces, engaging young people with detached work, school-based work, and creating clear progression routes into leadership and skills development. What I've done is I've broken them down into the universal open access, targeted intervention, youth leadership, and skills development pathways. The model's rooted in youth work methodology, promoting early intervention, trusted relationships, youth voice participation, progression pathways into volunteering, education and employment. Our universal open access provision, we're looking at delivering 40 open access sessions. Those are the Sunday ones. 40 school breakfast clubs for military, which happen in the Sandhurst School. Detached youth work, reaching disengaged or harder to reach young people, building trust in community spaces and reducing risk-taking behaviours, supporting transition into provision. The targeted work looks at referral-based work via Sandhurst School, offering school group work sessions, one-to-one interventions, focusing on emotional well-being, peer relations, confidence and resilience. Then looking at youth leadership and volunteering pathways. So we're looking at developing a young leaders programme that's due to start very shortly, a 40-hour youth voice training programme and ongoing permanent volunteer development, offering professional supervision and mentoring to our volunteers and real-life delivery opportunities alongside volunteer recruitment. We're looking at access to positive activities and enrichment. So that partnership piece enables us to offer not only to Sandhurst, but wider. So within the AWS, we offer out of schools provision, holiday projects that will be obviously accessible to the young people from the Sandhurst youth. They can be everything from residentials to day trips and external things. We've got a youth parliament visit in July, which will encompass both military and civilian young people to have opportunities to do that and have their voices heard. Access to out-of-school activities, reducing financial and social barriers and encouraging participation and inclusion.
Got 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm nearly there. Also mentioning growing your own. So we do offer accredited level 2 and 3 youth work development, volunteer training. I'm a safeguard trainer. I deliver introduction to youth work and additional skills. And then looking further into the future, we're creating a solid relationship with young people, community, increased resilience and sustainability. I think this programme provides a structured, evidence-based youth offer that meets local needs, strengthens community resilience and creates meaningful progression opportunities for young people. Behind every successful funding bid is a young person whose life looks different because someone invested in them. Thank you very much.
I got only half a minute left. Yeah. I just want to read you this because there's a letter from a young person. Dear Sandhurst Town Council, I'm writing to you today to discuss the funding of Sandhurst Youth. First of all, why should you fund us? Well, not only the staff there are some of the nicest people I've ever met, it comes at an affordable price. Now, I know firsthand from experience that not all families have lots of money. I have 4 younger brothers, but this youth club allows anyone to go and have fun on a Sunday evening. We cooked for parents one night. We just played Capture the Flag last week. We do Nerf fights, and it's just nice to sit down and talk to my friends. Furthermore, I even made some new friends that I would never have talked to before. So make the right decision and give this youth club the funding it deserves. Thank you for reading my letter. Yours, Joshua Thompson, age 13.
Should we give a couple of minutes for questions?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's on top of the 15 minutes. Yeah, okay.
This is
Right. Okay, and any questions for any of the members have questions for Sandhurst Youth?
Yeah, I've been doing some work with Crews, and part of the work I've been doing with them is around safeguarding and radicalisation. I had to do the online training and it took about 2 hours, but it was massively informative. And it's young people, isn't it, that are really, when they don't belong to something, they're looking to belong to something and they become vulnerable. I heard you mention about safeguarding as well. So, you know, is there anything we actively do to sort of help young people where they're trying to find their identity?
We've seen a lot of this. We've seen a huge rise in people looking for identity, and we do a lot of work around sense of belonging. This community, for instance, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about potentially looking at some digital projects where young people can look around and say, how do I belong to this? Especially for army children, it's really difficult. And what makes Sandhurst me, and what am I part of it? And I think things like the Youth Voice definitely is huge, the work in the schools and the partnership, but raising awareness, you know, I mean, the Louis Theroux documentary, perfect example of what young people are absorbing and seeing. So raising that awareness, that early education, challenging and asking those questions and having those conversations really and putting them out there. But we are really mindful, and the cadets as well, do a lot of work around radicalisation at the moment and the Prevent team and projects. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Michael?
Yes. You may possibly prefer not to answer the question if it's commercially sensitive, but what is the situation in Carlisle with regard to a grant submission on St Michael's Church?
I can't answer that with any official thing at all, but I can tell you that most of our volunteer force and the trustees are all from St Michael's Church. Not all the trustees, sorry, 3 of the trustees are from, and most of our volunteers. So this is very much a work of the church. The official position within there, to be honest, one of the things I want to do in the next few weeks, what I wanted to do with you first, was to actually present basically that presentation, that to present the work that we're now doing with Army Welfare Services, so they understand corporately better what we're doing corporately.
Anyone else?
Yes, please.
Go on then, Ash.
I'd just like to understand a little bit more about how this partnership works. So, what's the hierarchy, who's doing what? Because I know we established in our meeting that it's not a monetary partnership. So if you could just outline for everybody else how the partnership is actually going to work.
Well, the partnership basically works because Sarah is a trustee of Sandhurst Youth and is also actively involved in the delivery of all these things. And the volunteers similarly are supporting and engaged with most of these things here. So we've brought a resource base, which we already had and has been running the programs I talked about at the beginning, and we're adding into it additional resources. So there are both volunteers and session workers coming from AWS into the same structure as we've had all the way through. We're working together in the school. We will have joint work there. Both of us have an ongoing relationship with Sam Hunt, so we're just joining these two things together, presenting them together, making sure we're resourcing them together.
I think ultimately, from your perspective, Dave, you're going to head up the committee, the trustees,
Yes.
and from that element, what I bring is the professional youth work side of it, and the training of the students, and the development of and recruitment of the volunteers, and bringing that element in. And obviously, as a partnership, AWS sits within a big structure. We have a strategy. We have a 2-year strategy, and the partnership. This is quite new for AWS to do partnerships with charities, but we're recognising that need for resources across all the board. We've been on a recruitment freeze for 2 years. So, that need for service children, military infrastructure is being reduced constantly where we're putting units together. So things like community centres are going. So that need again to come into wider community and share that kind of resource is really essential.
Graham.
Thank you.
You mentioned neurodiversity and continuity and staying the same, but am I right that the club has moved from the parish, from the church parish to the Waterside Lane, and is now at the Baptist? Is it going to stay there long term? Is there any sort of guarantee? Is there a permanent home for it now? Are you going to use the army more now?
So I mean, we moved from Sandhurst, from St Michael's to the Baptist Church for quite simple reason. St Michael's is absolutely right out on the edge of, and it was proving increasingly challenging for the young people to actually come out there. So we agreed with the Baptist Church. We actually built a shed there for all the storage of all the materials. We have a permanent base there. It's our registered address as well, and we have a fine working relationship with them. They don't have very many young people there, but that is, they've got the space, which is a workable space. We've got storage space, so that's our base. It's also quite convenient because we have frontage actually onto Yorktown Road, which we use for some drop in and other basically detached but not standing still work. And we have a good working relationship with Owlsmore. There is already work going on up there in that the Vineyard Church run a sort of drop-in a couple of times a week, which is open to everybody, but the young people are welcome there as well. So, we're aware of that. We support them. I talk with Vic fairly quite frequently.
Just in relation to the infrastructure, though, within the army, there is no infrastructure now. The community centre was condemned, and they're not looking to rebuild anything. So at the moment, as it stands, the families and young people have no space within there. So we're looking really to come out, but also we are young people led. So we will be working alongside them when we introduce things like Youth Voice. We'll be listening to what the young people really want for this area and what works for them. And quite often these things are very fluid and they change, and young people change. So, there's always flexibility, I think, when you're working with young people.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there and we're going to swap over.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I shall go and get the other candidate.
It's really nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Leave that there. Right, come back.
Thanks very much.
He's coming back.
Come back.
Yeah.
Good.
You just let me know when you've got the slides moved.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay,
Ready to start?
welcome.
Thank you. Just introduce myself. So I'm Gareth Mepham, Youth and Community Work Manager for the Ways. I'm going to go through a little bit around what the Ways does and then in terms of our proposal at the end. But we are a small youth organisation based in Bracknell. We've got a provision over in Harmonswater and we do stuff all across the borough, working with young people and communities, creating opportunities. So cool, we'll go through that. So the premise of our work is to support and empower young people to direct their own personal, social and educational development through a very much youth-led approach. And I'm going to go through, this is our theory of change around the theories that sort of exist around the stuff that we put in and the outcomes, and then the longer term impacts that we can have. And that's all based on the Young's Foundation and the Centre for Youth Impact. So some kind of robust stuff behind the scenes of what we do. It's based on the youth work curriculum, all of our work. So the 4 cornerstones is about educating young people through an informal setting, making sure they feel empowered within their projects, within their community and within their own development, making sure that they get equal opportunities, and that could be geographical, that could be financial, that could be ability, but just make sure they get the opportunity to have a go at stuff. And then participation, making sure they are doing stuff and actively participating. And I'm going to go through a few examples as we go through the slides around where that's existed. But it's all about having the right people in the right places and offering the right programs for young people that are relevant and engaging, and meet the needs of where they're at that time. So we have centre-based youth provisions. So currently in Bracknell, we deliver 9 youth sessions a week. So they range over 2 different settings. And then we have, between those, we have just over 210 young people a week on average coming through the doors. We have one-to-one youth mentoring. So in this current financial year that we're finishing, we've had over 80 young people been supported through one-to-one mentoring in schools and in the community. Volunteer and leadership program, which I'll go through. Our community-based work, which it ranges from delivering structured activity, doing detached work, and then sort of community events and activities that we can get involved in. And then we've got a range of school programs, and we run some stuff in the holidays. But the idea is that it all bridges up together. So a lot of our stuff is, well, all of our stuff's working in partnership, but a lot of the stuff we do in the community is what comes out of conversations in school or through youth sessions. And a lot of the young people that will access youth sessions may have had their first engagement out in the community, and it's about signposting them into relevant safe spaces. So this is in our main hub in Bracknell, the Ways. This is our typical week's sessions. We have an included one on the next slide, if that's all right, the Young Carers. So we run the Young Carers youth provision for Bracknell Forest. So we offer a range of stuff in-house, but also do some trips, and we've put on some extra training for the next financial year, looking at first aid and things like that. And then our last sessions, we're commissioned to deliver stuff in Great Hollands at the community centre there. And that's working with years 7, 8 and 9, so 11 to 14-year-olds, and then an older drop-in up to 17, just getting young people away from the shops into a safe space, and which has had some real impact around sort of reducing ASB. Okay. And then our holiday programmes, we have 2 types of holiday programmes. One is our 8 to 12-year-olds, which is based at the Ways. And then we have a second programme on the next slide, which is for 13 to 17. So that's centre-based, but also we offer trips. So I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but we do lots of trips out and about. So we take people to London, many of them for the first time. We take them on camping residentials, where the joy of watching them put up tents is there, and it's a real challenge. And there's lots of stuff around independence. They put their tents up, they look after their tents, they cook their own food, they'll help direct and plan the weekend. And all of the stuff we do year in, year out is what young people have come up with through detached work, through the schools work, and through the centre-based provisions. And then our volunteer programmes. So in 2019, we won the Queen's Award for voluntary service. We have a 6-tier volunteer programme because we believe anyone can volunteer. We've had litter picks for families where we've had 4 or 5-year-olds going around with their parents, but we also have different levels where young people from 14 can get involved in volunteering either within our programmes
or through their own avenues. So we've had some young people do our training and the leadership elements of it, and then go and support. There was one young person that supported a wheelchair charity that pushed people out and for the days. Other people have helped out in scouts, and we've got one young person who's just joined a sort of a martial arts group to help support some of the younger ones. So we do that. And then in this current year, we've supported 28 young people through a leadership qualification, 12 young people through first aid. We've got safeguarding on the 31st, and we've got 17 young people booked onto that. So there's a whole range of stuff that they can do, then can be transferred into other elements of what they're doing. And then our community stuff. So as I mentioned earlier, we do lots of community events and activities. We hold our own fun day. We support summer fun events. We've done litter picks. Probably the best one is the Jingle All the Ways event, where we go to elderly residents and just sing songs, give out teas. Because it's at Christmas, we call it Jingle All the Ways. It did start off in Santa suits, and it's tamed down to Christmas jumpers. But that's a really good one, and it's a really good intergenerational piece of work that we do, which gives the older members an opportunity to go in and do that, and yeah, just meet other people and listen to stories and sing songs. Okay, so our mobile hub, which is predominantly what the proposal is about, which I'll come on to at the end, but just so you so in terms of the mobile hub, we have two kind of strands to it. We have an element where we go into schools, into lunchtimes, and speak to young people about what they want in the community, but also just find out where they're at. So there might be someone one day that's struggling, so we can just be signposted to them and have a chat. But it's about finding out what they want in their community so we can put stuff onto them. And then the other strand is our street-based work. So two elements of street-based work. There's one which is outreach, where you're going out to get people into a centre, and there's another one that's detached. It all kind of often falls under detached work, but the detached youth work is about working with young people where they're at in terms of geographically, in terms of developmental, in terms of vulnerabilities within the community, if they have those. And it's not about just that one night's engagement. It's about what's the next step. So is there a group that would want to go on and do stuff? So a good example, in Bracknell, there was a group of young people hanging around the local shops, causing lots of problems, getting lots of complaints. Through our partnership working with community safety, we started doing some football programs. That ASB has pretty much eradicated from that group, and in the beginning of this month they went and watched Reading at the end of their football program. So it's about them buying into stuff. They're seeing an impact, understanding their responsibilities within the community, getting the community to understand them as well, because it's a bit of a two-way thing, and it's about positively showcasing what young people can do and what their responsibilities are. And our message is, if you're at the skate park over at the Memorial Park, for example, on a Friday night, and on Saturday morning no one knows you've been there because there's no litter, there's been no complaints, there's no ridiculous noise, then that's what it's there for. And these spaces are built for young people, and it's about getting them to understand that. So a lot of our work, and currently we do 4 hours in Bracknell with Bracknell Town and 2 hours in Crowthorne, and we sit on various partnership meetings, but predominantly the Parks and Recreations ASB meeting with community safety, and sits on that, some others, just to look at where those areas of needs are and how we can direct our time and resources most effectively. And then our one-to-one youth work. So from COVID, before COVID, we went from like 8 young people to 87, I think the first year was. Now, this year, we've worked with over 80 young people in schools and the community, but it's just supporting their own individual journey. So some of it might be around mental health, some of it might be around school engagement, and that might be behaviour, it might be mental health. Some of it could just be about being run in the community, and actually in a group setting that's not going to get the message across and put those steps in place. So we do that as well. Yeah, and as I say, it's all very much individual based and working at where they're at. They get set an action plan. We work with them, and it's about that network around them. One, them identifying it and understanding who that network is, but also that network understanding where they're at and what their voice is saying. Okay, and then our final, so the schools work that we do, we've got group and individual based programs. Our fusion program supports years 6 and 7, so it's about that transition, the academic transition, but it's not an academic program. Again, it's about them understanding their self, their network, and we focus on developing their emotion management, their understanding of responsibilities, their teamwork, their communication, confidence. And it's just about when they get into that year 7, are they ready to take on that extra challenge? And some of those in year 7 need a bit more support, so we've got a tailored program that goes in. We have a Spark program that works more about the cognitive development of a young person for them to understand that and look at how they can put strategies in place to support that. And then our pivot program is I've developed it this year, and we're just going to start the pilot in the summer term. And that's about getting groups of young people out of school that are on the verge of being kicked out, looking at where they're at, trying to find out what those triggers are that cause them to maybe disrupt classes, or what the barriers are to get them into class, and then building a bit of a portfolio and a voice to go back into school. And then as part of that bridge, we then support them back in schools through some one-to-ones and see them embedded. But unlike other alternative provisions, we don't want to take them fully away from school. We want them to understand they're part of that community. So they go into school, we take them out of school, then we take them back to school at the end of the day, because that helps that rebuilding back into schools. Okay. And then so the proposal to Sandhurst Town Council is to continue and extend our street-based attached work into Sandhurst. So for those that know or don't know, just before Christmas, we delivered some street-based work in Sandhurst because we had a pot of money through Bracknell Forest Council. So over the winter, so on fireworks night, we were out, and then up until Christmas, we were out over just sort of seeing where things were happening, predominantly Moral Park and Snap Rails. And it's just about extending that and trying to get young people to understand their place in the community, but also put some stuff on. So like over the summer holidays, what can we do? In Bracknell last year, we done a skate park competition at Long Hill. The year before, we done it at Mill Pond. We had a football competition with 84 young people in different teams, all came together to do that. Also, as I said earlier on, we'll support the Summer of Fun stuff. But it's just about having a safe space that isn't bricks and mortar for young people. And I think for a while that may have been missing in this area in terms of our portfolio of what we do. We would like to extend it. A lot of the young people we work in Crowthorne jump from Sandhurst to Crowthorne quite a lot. So and we know that, and when they haven't been in Crowthorne for a bit, it's because they've been down here. So I think there'll be some familiarity with our staff team because it's the same team that go out. But that's kind of what we're hoping to do. And just to finish on, because there's some testimonials out there, but just some, obviously at the end of the financial year, as I mentioned earlier on, we've supported 28 young people into volunteering. We have a really good, strong, positive working partnership with lots of different agencies across Bracknell Forest. So our funders, so town, parish, borough councils, we work with community safety. I sit on the strategic safeguarding board. I work with children's social care, early help, youth justice service. So we're really well embedded with services. So quite often some of the one-to-one stuff comes through as direct referrals from some of those services as well. And then I suppose the last thing is what a claim to fame for the last year is that we had some young people that were saying pretty negative things about Bracknell. So we got the MP in and worked with them last year, and we actually created a document with nearly 200 young people's feedback into the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, and then they got a letter back and it was mentioned in Parliament. So that's that youth voice and participation element as well. So we would welcome the opportunity to extend. We have done work in Sandhurst School and in Uplands a few years ago with the Fusion programme, but we have done some one-to-one stuff and have good links in Sandhurst, so that could tie in well with supporting the community and what we've got going on. And that's probably it, and I'll take any questions. Sorry if that was a really quick run through.
Questions, Mike?
Could you go back? Bracknell Forest has a 5-year caring for our carer strategy. And a major part of that is one of the problems I have is finding where the carers are. And you mentioned that you work with carers, young carers.
Yes.
And that is one of their major areas of emphasis. To what extent are you engaged in that?
So we don't run the young carers section. We run the youth provision on a Thursday to support them. And in March, we've just been to some schools to do some one-to-ones with young carers directly that have been identified through the schools and the council to look at, just to find out what the challenges are, what support they need and what support looks like for them. So the last academic year, we went round a lot of the schools and done whole group consultations and fed that back in to support the strategy that went in. And we worked with the young carers team to review what we do, but also what more we can do. So I think the school support and direct support, because not everyone can go to one youth club session a week, and there's hundreds of young carers out there that haven't been identified, and it's about how we can support the council to do that. But currently our role is just to deliver the youth provision on a Thursday evening.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
So is the proposal, is there going to be a set sort of time a week when you would do something in Sandhurst? Is that the idea?
So the proposal is to deliver 104 hours, typically 2 hours a week. With that, there's a bit of flexibility because there's no point walking around in December when it's raining, cold, and no one's out. So in the summer, we for the other projects, we do more in the summer when young people are off school and things like that, and then we will overgo our hours on average, if you like, and then in the winter we'll reduce that down to maybe an hour or an hour and a half. And an example, like in Crowthorne, we've done some stuff in the school at lunchtime for 45 minutes out of the 2 hours to find out what they want in the community and just let them know that what's going on. But yeah, in terms of the days, we do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Friday nights, Saturdays. So if there's a group regularly on a Friday night, and a lot of that comes out of the community safety team, and like if Sandhurst Town Council are identifying areas or groups at particular times, then that kind of informs what we do. So we do it on a half-term basis, so we kind of know where the staff are going and what we're doing, but equally locations can change. So and sometimes we swap Bracknell and Crowthorne over because actually we know there's people at Morgan Rec at 9 o'clock in a few weeks, and there's been some either complaints or things raised. So what you'll get, which it says on one of the slides, is that every quarter they'll get a report of what it is that we've done, where we've been, and then as I say, I think the ASB meetings are every 2 months, I think, for parks and recreations, but equally they'll like with Bracknell and Crowthorne, there'll be continued dialogue to say actually our grounds team have found this, or we're seeing this, or we're getting these reports. Can we look at doing that? So there's obviously got to be flexibility in it because we don't want to chase shadows. We want to go to where young people are at.
Michael.
A couple of questions if I can then, Gareth. You mentioned about the youth engagement and you made reference to Crowthorne more than once and the Morgan Centre. Do I assume that the Sandhurst youth have to make their own way up to Crowthorne, or is there some mechanism for you to come down to Sandhurst using, for instance, a local church? What's the process?
So in Crowthorne, we do the community-based work there, and just on a Friday night, some young people will get on their bikes and be up there. So in there, we predominantly on Friday night will go down the Morgan Rec and speak to them near the shelter of the parks. And if they've come up from Sandhurst, then we still engage with them. And then that's kind of the premise of that work. So some weeks they'll be
Mobile rather than centred round.
So because what we don't want to do is say we'll just go to Morgan Rec and there'll be stuff at another park or another woods. We know there's been issues at Circle Hill and Chaucer's Woods, so we kind of direct, and we will hang around in an area. So if we look at Sandhurst, for example, if there's no one at the Morgan Rec, we'll hang around there for 5-10 minutes because someone might turn up, but then we're not going to stay there for 2 hours and have no one there. So then we'll go and have a look round, to different areas. And if people from Sandhurst are coming into a particular area, we'll engage with them. If there's a few from Crowthorne, we'd engage with them. Because they're in the Sandhurst area, but there's not a specific we're set in these areas unless we are doing structural activities which we don't advertise over the summer.
How do you then communicate with people? Is it on a WhatsApp mechanism, or finding out, if trying to find out where they are and whether they're going to come to the Morgan Centre?
But the premise of the detached work is to go and see if young people are just hanging around in the community. So it's not they go in there every week. In Crowthorne, we might see different people every week, but typically you get your same kind of group. So if we know there's a group between 5 and 7 every week at Morgan Rec, then we put that in our detached thing because we know that's a good engagement hotspot. And if it starts dying down, we work with the council to go, do you know anything that we don't know in terms of feedback of where they're going? And then that directs, and then every week we'll still go to the Morgan Rec, but we'll also go to another area that's been said. So it's about flexibility and communication to make sure we're optimising resource when we are out and about.
Now, a brief question, if I can, very briefly. I'm looking at the costings. If I can do that, it works out about 19.
Michael, we're talking costings later.
Okay, fine. All right then. Right, I've covered the question. Right.
Ali.
I was just interested in your perspective on what's the biggest challenge for young people today, and how do you work with them to sort of mentor?
I think one of the big things we find is school engagement and relationships. I think everyone will probably understand that mental health is a big element on it, and we do a lot of work around social media and all that stuff. And obviously with the changes potentially coming in, there's lots of conversations around that. But we have lots of young people in most of our sessions, if not all of our sessions, that we have weekly conversations, and a lot of our one-to-ones around mental health, poor mental health, and how we can support that. So looking at self-help strategies, networks, understanding that, but equally give them a voice, because you don't need to verbalize stuff to have a voice. It's about people understanding it, whether it's through another mechanism. So, but yeah, and then obviously vaping as well is a big thing for young people, and we have lots and lots of conversation with that. It seems that the age to socially start vaping is getting younger and younger and younger, which is quite scary. So there's obviously some stuff that we can do, and then if we're not experts, there's obviously services around that can go in and do work for us.
You mentioned safeguarding as well. Safeguarding board.
Yeah.
So sort of how involved do you get with that? Because my mind is in the space of not just safeguarding, but amongst the prevent.
Yeah.
And that sort of
Yeah. So in terms of the safeguarding stuff, I'm safeguarding lead for the organisation. We're registered as a relevant agency within Bracknell Forest's new plan. And then I've sat and reviewed some serious case stuff. So I'm not part of the board. I'm one of the subcommittee of community engagement. So and we've created documents where young people have owned and created their own understanding of what the processes are. So if I disclose something to Gareth on a Wednesday night, what happens then? So we've gone through this, so we've created that kind of youth space stuff as well. But yeah, and there's lots of challenges. All of our staff, which I didn't go through on the is all of our staff that will be delivering will have a minimum of one member of staff with a complete youth work qualification. We are all enhanced DBS checked, all safeguard checked, level 2 safeguard trained, so that's universal plus the shared responsibility stuff. So we just make sure all of that, so and everyone has had prevent training, and but it's a real there's just so much that goes to it, and every young person's different, and every group's different, and every location's different. So when you keep mixing it up, there's just so much that goes with it.
Last question from Hazel.
You mentioned earlier about your funding from, is it Winkfield and Warfield Parish Councils? Do you get any funding from Bracknell Forest Council?
Yeah, so we get funding from Bracknell Forest. So we get funding from Bracknell Forest, not Winkfield and Warfield. We get from Bracknell Town Council, Crowthorne Parish Council to deliver the community-based stuff, and then we get a contribution grant from Bracknell Forest Council to run our centre-based stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for that.
No worries.
You're free to leave.
Cool, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
No worries. See you later. Cheers.
Yes, right. I hope you've made notes and remembered all that, because we'll be discussing it all later. Right, okay, moving back to
Do it now.
no, health and safety.
Oh, gosh.
Agenda item 5.
Nothing to report.
Oh. Okay, nothing to, that's actually good, because normally there's at least something there. Right, okay, so agenda item 6, neighbourhood plan. To receive an update from the working group.
I'll set my timer.
Yes.
I'll set my timer.
Press.
Oh, yeah, well, hopefully, we won't need 15 minutes, but I prepared some words so that
Go on.
try and keep control. Thank you very much. Well, members voted, would you believe, on the 23rd?
Excuse me. Will you be quiet in the public gallery, please?
Okay, sorry.
My
apologies.
Members voted, would you believe, on the 4th of November 2023 to create a neighbourhood plan. So we've been rather busy since. The process is very detailed. I think you've all seen that, and involves several consultations and briefings with residents, businesses, partners, landowners, and of course,
with councillors. The working group set up has been very ably chaired by local resident Mr. Ian Booker, and I'd like to thank him and all the other members of the working group for what has been a lot of effort and an amazing contribution from them. The final draft neighbourhood plan is now before members, and I think I got the record for the biggest documents to go on.
Yeah.
So it's now before members, and just to assure members, it's been examined in detail by our appointed planning consultants, ET Planning, as indeed the supporting documents, which is the consultation statement and the basic condition statement and the local green space evidence that too ET Planning have examined as well. As we have, this is the bit that, as we have progressed neighbourhood plan process, what has also been happening is that the government has been changing the planning rules and guidance around us as we've been going on. Not just the removing of the funding for neighbourhood plans, which we spoke about previously, but on Tuesday of this week, we received a letter from Bracknell Forest informing us that a change to legislation regarding neighbourhood plan preparation was to come into effect, wait for it, yesterday. But, and then the last couple of days have been a bit traumatic for Ian and the team and myself, but fortunately, having checked the content of the new legislation and the advice given from Bracknell Forest, our neighbourhood plan itself does not need to be adjusted, and which is a big relief, I can assure you, in order to comply with the new guidance. We do, however, have to add a short appendix to the basic conditions document, which is the neighbourhood plan, which refers the reader to the policies in the plan that covers the points raised. And this afternoon, that's the little appendix that we finished this afternoon. And what that does, it literally tells the reader where in our neighbourhood plan our compliance with the new stuff it is. And they refer us to this thing called the Berkshire Local Nature Recovery Strategy. And we all knew that was there, didn't we? But what we have done in order to stay up with things is we've taken the 13 points that are raised in that document and we've referenced them into our neighbourhood plan so that when this gets to Bracknell Forest, they know that it's all fully compliant. But there's no need to do any rewriting of the plan itself or anything because it talks about things like protecting ground nesting birds and wildlife and stuff. And we've got the SPA, and as you've all seen in our plan, we are very keen to make sure that we comply with all the policies that protect our wildlife and so forth. Our green, local green spaces, of which there are 10 in the local plan, their objective is to assist with the recovery of biodiversity and things like that. So we were very confident that was all okay. The next stage to complete the process is that this will be passed. The stage, this is called the Regulation 15 stage. To move on to the next stage, we must tonight ratify the draft neighbourhood plan as presented, and then pass it with all the supporting documents to Bracknell Forest Council, and who will initiate another 6-week consultation, but at their behest, they do it, not us. Okay, and they do consultation with residents again, businesses again, and statutory consultees and all that. And if in this period we need to make any amendments to the plan, we can do so via their consultation process. Okay, so, and likewise, if any members round the table today, or any members of the council wish to make a comment, they can still do so through that process. So that is still going on, and that will still be alive.
So if you've got any questions or comments, what's the best way to make them to you tonight?
No, what's going to happen is,
Thank you.
I'll presume we have agreed to ratify it. When that's occurred, we send all those documents in that great list and our little cross-referencing thing to Bracknell Forest. They then create a consultation process, and they come back. They, that counts, Bracknell Forest Council consults with everyone, and our response is to them, not through us. It's their it's their process from here on.
Okay, so can I ask a question?
Go for it. I haven't quite finished, but
No, all right, all right.
no, dig it straight in, because otherwise you forget.
No, because AI is a wonderful tool, thankfully. Didn't read through every single word of every single page. Thankfully, AI did. But I did interrogate it on housing.
Mhm.
And it said specialist retirement housing. Driven by an ageing population, the plan identifies a need for 25 to 27 specialist accommodation units for older people over the plan period.
Mhm. Now, which plan did you just refer that to?
The Sandhurst one.
Okay, because that has to be in compliance with the Bracknell local plan. Okay, and one of the interesting facts is that the number of retirement, we'll call it, and there are 3 different types that you can have, that we are actually in Sandhurst well provided with such accommodation, and that it is highly likely in the future, with the amendments that are coming down to the local plan, not the neighbourhood plan, that they will alter the designation of certain buildings so that they can be regarded as retirement type living. Now, all we have to do within the plan, the way the plan is worded, is comply with that. That's how that works.
So going back to your comment that there is quite a lot of well-provided elderly accommodation.
Yep.
Go to the other end of the spectrum for starter homes and young families. What's the provision for them?
Well, if you're one of the things, and from my notes that I say, is that the residents, when consulted, said they wanted open spaces and places to walk, they wanted better parking, and they wanted houses for first-time buyers, entry level, affordable, not just social rent,
Yeah.
but affordable. And that came across very powerfully if you look at the responses in the consultation statement. And what the neighbourhood plan addresses is that by seeking to, and it's not a NIMBY plan, it says we don't want mass development on green spaces, we want development on brownfield sites within the settlement boundary, and that should look to address the need for the lower end affordable. And it's H something. I don't want to go through the plan now, but it's specific about saying we will be addressing that, or we will seek to address that first. In effect, priority will be given to that.
Yeah, so I just find it odd that we've specified the number of units for elderly, but not for starter homes.
Yeah, and well, we had.
It's trying
This is
to
what I say. It's not. When you say specify, it's not a target. We haven't got to reach it. That's the numbers that came out of
That the local
what's
plan.
called out of the local plan, which is the housing market assessment that was done for the local plan. This is one of the problems when you apply a bot to it, that those numbers are for the local plan, right? It's not a target or a commitment within the neighbourhood plan.
Thank you.
But we would have to be in good standing with the local plan. Now, so there isn't we will find X number of in our plan, because our plan doesn't have that power and authority. So within the neighbourhood plan, though, what we do, the reason why we are able to ask for affordable housing to go on brownfield sites is because we have so far medium or large sites designated within Sandhurst, and so when a place like the Forge comes up, we would be saying from our plan, please look at the putting in the lower end. We don't say, could we have 10 of those or 6 of those, because we have no control over that.
Thank you. One last question, not related to housing. And you just used an interesting word there, we don't have control over. Are we able to, within the neighbourhood plan, address potential future planning applications, asks for fast food outlets? Given Chris Whitty recently spoke about the epidemic of obesity and how we've grown exponentially.
I should be speaking soon at the licensing hearing for a kebab farm.
There was a lot of mention about the hot food takeaway units.
And
in the plan.
what we can't do, and the law does not allow a council to say you can't have this sort of business, because that's a restraint of trade type situation. What you can do, though, is you can ensure that in order for certain types of businesses to believe this place is attractive, if the plan is slack and quiet in that area, well, then the planning officers will have no reason to try and look at, well, is it a valid thing? What we've done within the plan, we have said under specific topics like parking, for instance, that certain types of retail use or business use must have this sort of parking, must not increase the pressure but must provide elsewhere. So whoever's looking to come into that area under the old plan, it might have looked quite attractive. Under, if they take into account, they're going to have to work a little harder now.
So can we can't introduce a density limit?
No,
No, you can't. That's not legal.
can't do that.
Okay.
I did, I've trust us, we've tried that. Sorry, was that?
Have you got,
That's my last question. Thank
have
you.
you got near to the end of where you were going with your?
Yes, indeed. In fact, all I was going to say was that the final version of the plan will be subject to a referendum, which will hopefully be in the autumn if we can catch all this. And again, all that is run by Bracknell Forest. And if it gets a simple majority, then Bracknell Forest move it up there in their full council under what's called a plan making motion. Once they've voted it through, it's called made, it becomes law, and planning officers then have to use our neighbourhood plan when considering all planning applications coming forward. Sorry, I rushed that a bit, but thanks for the questions. Oh, have we?
Any more questions?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did read, not 365 pages, but I did read quite a lot, and there was a couple of points that I didn't make. And I think probably the easiest is to just give these to you separately.
Oh, I'm
Dale?
happy to do that.
With some points.
Yep.
But one was 6.4.3 refers to the Little Sandhurst bus. Is that still current to be included with the plan? I don't know if it's still running.
It's still running at the moment. Hasn't been cancelled yet, but it will be shortly.
Right, okay, so that was one. 6.5.2, it mentions about trains. It doesn't go via Frimley, the train line.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It mentions in the plan, but it does not go to Frimley.
No, it doesn't. The train
No.
doesn't.
But it does say in that, so you better check that. And I don't know where it is because I didn't make a note. There is a note somewhere. Oh, I think it comes under the listed buildings. Is Slate House, and I think that is now gone. That was at the bottom in Wellington Road, on the corner of Wellington Road. Now, I don't think that's. I think it's still there, but I think the slates have gone.
No, right. But that was it.
I've got some other little things, but I can touch base with you regarding those.
If you could do that,
Yeah, I'll
then-
do that after
then
the
that's
meeting.
fine. Because once it goes in, we can make these type of.
Yeah,
Oh,
one's a
other
typo
adjustments,
as
yeah.
well, so.
Graham,
I can assure you they've all been proofread 2 or 3 times. They'll
I
always be.
will say there's a lot of work gone into it, Dale. and-
Just not a question, just to say well done.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I was explaining to some people the other day what a neighbourhood plan actually is for, and because funny enough, not that many people fully understand, and it's a very difficult thing to do. So,
it's a very, very comprehensive document. Matt.
Yeah.
so well done.
Absolutely. Well, you've got
350.
You and Ian, amazing.
It's not just me. There's
I know, yeah.
Sylvia.
You could see the amount of work and detail and preparation that have gone into it, so I do.
Pass
commend
on our thanks to the team.
In fact, I'll make sure that, yeah. So the only part then, according to the agenda chairman,
Is to
is
propose it.
is that I'd like to move that the draft neighbourhood plan be approved by Stratton along with the supporting documents.
Together with this, yeah.
Yes,
Together with this, a new appendix, yeah.
With the appendix to.
Okay. You seconding,
I'm happy.
Michael to second.
Yes, yes.
Does there need to be any debate? No, all those in favour? That's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Okay, brilliant, thank you.
So is that update and approved in one? What do we have to do? Item A and B separately?
I've just done.
We've just done B.
We've just done B.
So
Right, urgent matters procedure. Any questions on the urgent matters that were dealt with under the urgent matters procedure? No, okay, so two, one was about the kebab van and the other one was about the wooden fence that we need to replace. Okay, moving on to we've done agenda item 8, so moving on to agenda item 9, which is the additional flagpole, which is to consider the following motion requested by Councillor Edwards. I'm presuming it has to be, if it a motion to be proposed, it has to be proposed by a member of the committee who can vote. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to do questions on this or just propose and debate it? Any questions before we start?
Something about this sort of before, because it's so, do one of us need to actually put this forward as a proper proposal,
Yes. I'm quite happy.
then debate it?
Yes.
Could I just say, so
Questions first before debate.
Yes, I did ask if there were questions and Graham sort of put it.
yeah, I put my hand up. I don't know whether or not, because I want to sort of put a slightly counter proposal to this.
In that case, in debate, you can move an amendment.
And okay,
We need the proposal.
Yeah, I was
We
gonna
need to
say.
propose it first. Right. I'm gonna propose in that case. So I'm gonna propose as written that council, town council permanently flies the Union Jack, Union flag on the Memorial Park, etc. Do I have a seconder? Okay, Michael. Thank you. So you immediately want to go in and propose an amendment then? Okay, go on then.
I do, but am I allowed to talk first a little bit about why I want to do the amendment?
Well, I mean, we're going into debate, so
Shouldn't Councillor Edwards?
yeah, Councillor Edwards, give us your view first then. Go on then.
Okay, great, thanks. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for allowing it. Thank you for proposing it and seconding it. It's good to be back. Strategy and policy, 6 months discussing this. I think when we last discussed it, there was a lot of extra wider political heat with flags going up on lampposts and Operation Raise the Colours. But those aren't the issues that we're dealing with today. So the decision tonight is actually really simple. It's should Sandhurst Council permanently fly a Union Jack as a local government building in its grounds. That's it. And across, this is totally normal. Across the UK, across Europe, there are country national flags up against almost every public building there is. So all this motion would be doing is actually to bring Sandhurst Town Council into line with what's totally normal across the country, across Europe, across the world, really. And actually, it's just to correct an oversight that many people in Sandhurst don't even realise that we don't permanently fly our national flag above our council offices. And also, more importantly, I think because we're in a town like Sandhurst, it was mentioned before, it's the Royal Military Academy here. I think it's be extra important we fly our Union flag there because residents feel a deep connection to the RNA, and this is a real matter that's of real importance to them. But also the flag is not a symbol for any one party or for any one ideology. It belongs to all of us. So whether you're rich or poor, landed gentry or commoner or conservative or Labour or Liberal Democrat or Reform or nothing, this flag belongs to you. And it also represents something equally important, that our shared civil identity. So the idea that whatever your background, your ethnicity, we are all British, and this flag represents you. And that also comes to us as well. So with our political differences in this chamber, which there are some, it reminds us that we should represent everyone equally. And lastly, displaying the flag on our national buildings actually discourages people from feeling the need to go out and put them up lampposts because they can see it displayed. So I think the decision is really simple. Should Sandhurst Town Council, as a local government, display the flag? I think the answer is a clear and obvious yes.
Okay, I was going to say, Graham, do you want to, you have a thought?
I do. I'd like to just explain a little bit why I've got a slight counter proposal.
Okay.
So I've done a bit of research into this when I found out this was going to be on the agenda. And anyone here long enough, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe up until 20 years ago, we used to fly the flag, the Union Jack. And 20 years ago, permanently apart from obviously when it was National Forces Week. And my understanding was that we won the green flag and we were the first town to win the green flag. Previously, it had been won by boroughs. We were the first town to win. And it was such a brilliant accolade, which it still is, that there was an immense feeling of pride and it was flown out there on the main flagpole. My understanding is there was never an intent for it to replace the Union Jack. However, for one reason or another, it became the sole flag up there. So my suggestion, and I don't know if anyone will support me on this, is to resume and to go back to the 20 years ago when we used to have the Union Jack there and have a new flagpole for the green flag, which everyone, all the staff and everyone in Sandhurst should rightly be proud of. But I would like, rather than having a separate flagpole for the Union flag, I would suggest that we kind of do it the other way around. So I don't know, that's my proposal.
It's still a separate flagpole, whichever way you.
Yeah, I think what
Whichever
you're
way you
saying is you want that, the situation where that's situated now, flying Union flag and any new.
Yes, and I'm not talking about like two right next to each other, for example. I'm talking about
Still need a second flagpole.
someone, separate flagpole. But
This doesn't really change the overall intent of this. It doesn't matter which one it flies from. It requires a second flagpole.
It's basically what flag goes up. It's just the second pole.
But before you propose, I'll come back to you in a minute if you need to propose. If you think you've actually got an amendment, because I don't think it actually changes what's on here at all. So, Ali.
I think it's a clarification. Yes.
I hear what you're saying about your points. I think you're right. We've got different political affiliations, but I want to look a bit broader than UK politics.
I can hardly hear you.
Sorry. We're living in a world of a lot of change at the moment, aren't we, in the UK and internationally? And I'm thinking, if I were a Sandhurst resident and I'm paying 4.99% of my council tax to Sandhurst Town Council, I think it was a fairly large amount of money to put a pole up. Is it the most important?
Well, it's about under £5,000.
It's quite a lot of money to some people that can't even afford to heat their homes or get food. Is it really, when we look at it in the broader context, is it an appropriate thing to be doing right now? What message is it going to send to people? Because for it to suddenly appear when flags have been a very contentious issue in the recent year, I think perhaps some stoicism is we're here to serve the community of Sandhurst. We're not here to talk about political affiliation, or it could be misread, it could be misunderstood, it could be. I'm just imagining what would go off on social media if we did something like that. And we need to be really mindful. It could send unintentional messages.
What unintentional messages could send?
That's why I said unintentional. If I were somebody from Serbia or Japan that lives here, they might feel like an outsider.
Well, if I can take that opportunity to come in, I will say the words that I said when actually I chaired the meeting in the absence of Nick, and the feedback that I'd received from some people was that the flags that were around then on the lampposts had actually caused distress to those of foreign descent. Echoing really the words that you put, and My views haven't changed on that at all.
I do have the same feedback.
I do feel it's a little inflammatory, just in light of current events in the world.
Yeah.
Just a comment. Do we actually have a costing?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to come in on. Obviously, last time the costings were done on very high-end professional aluminium flagpoles. I have been looking around at this because obviously cost was brought up as an issue then as well. And the sizes we were looking at, so the flagpole out there currently is just under 8 meters, 7.8. So if we were looking at an 8 meter and we had glass fiber, which is what the one out there is, we're looking at around the £500 mark.
Wow, that's a lot cheaper.
If we went for premium, then you're looking at 945. So the costings would be around 500, and we would have to apply for planning permission as well.
And installation costs?
Our grounds team could install it.
Yeah. It's a bit
There's
concrete.
some issue around the raising and the lowering of the flag, is that?
Last time, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that isn't true. So that's Sky. So the last meeting, it was said that you have to raise it at sunset, at sunrise, and
No, you
down
don't.
at sunset. You
No, you do not have to do that. Sorry, Graham.
Okay, I'm going to speak to it now then, if that's okay.
But hang on, sorry. Are you actually proposing an amendment? Because what you actually suggested, are you speaking to the current?
I think it would be a clarification, just that it would be the Union Jack out the front, I guess, and the green flag moving. I guess it's a clarification maybe rather than
Okay.
an amendment. What I mean,
Because I don't think you actually need to propose an amendment, because whatever you do, because if you put a second flagpole up, it doesn't matter which way round you are, does it? So,
okay, but I would
No.
like to.
so he wants to speak anyway. So yeah, come on, speak.
You might want to answer mine first. Okay. I support without hesitation the permanent flying of the Union Jack at the council house. For centuries, this flag has stood above our civic life, not just on days of ceremony, but through ordinary times as well. It has been a constant witness to duty, service, and democratic responsibility. It represents continuity, stability, and the enduring bonds of our nation. The Union Jack should inspire pride, reassurance, and belonging in every British citizen. It should be a symbol people look to and feel at home under. It stands for togetherness, for a shared country, shared values, and shared commitment to one another. It is not a symbol of racism, division, or exclusion, and I firmly reject any attempt to redefine it as such. The national flag belongs to everyone, and we should never shy away from displaying it with confidence. Around the world, the Union Jack commands recognition and respect. Here at home, it should stand as a visible signal of unity and civic pride. Many councils already fly the flag every day, and I believe it is both appropriate and right that we do the same. I will honour the Union Jack on ordinary days, just as I do on days of national significance. Under no circumstances would I vote against it. This flag is a symbol of unity, resilience, and shared identity, and it deserves to fly permanently, proudly, and without apology.
Okay.
Am I allowed to make a counter proposal?
Dale wants to speak first.
Okay.
I'm not thinking against what has just been
Okay,
said,
understand, yeah.
because that's fine. All I was going to say was the motion actually says that Sandhurst Town Council permanently fly a Union flag in the Memorial Park or council office, but installing a second flagpole somewhere in the grounds.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's the bit that I want to be a bit more specific about.
Yeah, so you could either put that in the proposal, or you could have the proposal as is and agree that you'd have a second one and then discuss where that would be.
Yeah, because my take is the other councillor Birch is absolutely right. We used to have the Union flag on the main pole, and it would be nice to see it on the main pole again.
But yes,
But
this doesn't mean it has to be on the flag and flag pole somewhere in the other end of the. It just needs to be on a flag pole.
yes, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's the council's flagpole.
Yes.
So we do have a second flagpole on our assets already. Probably can't put anything on it because it's in the grounds of the day
It's
centre.
not ours either.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
We can't do it. But all I'm considering is that the main flagpole that we have up there that everybody knows and is the centre of flag raising on appropriate days carries the main flag, but that we celebrate our green flag by having that on a smaller flagpole on the top of the actual council offices. That's the simplicity of it, in my view.
Okay. But it doesn't, it just says a second flagpole. It doesn't give any
So I
description.
would
So,
have somewhere in the grounds,
yeah,
that because it has to.
somewhere in the grounds could include the top of the building if it necessary.
Well,
So, yeah.
I'd
It-
like
it's
it to
broad.
be that specific in
Okay.
what we agree.
Okay.
That's all.
You had a counter proposal?
So I agree with everything Graham said. I absolutely stand behind that. You know, very proud of our heritage and everything that it means to be part of our community and living here. But I'm also very aware of cultural diversity. So what if we were to have a flagpole and agree to fly flags of all different nations,
No.
especially those that are like the Gurkhas in our community at the RMA, to demonstrate that we respect all people from all countries and their cultures and backgrounds for diversity and inclusion, because we're a rights respecting council, aren't we?
So, yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from, but for example, if I was going around France, I wouldn't feel intimidated if I passed a public building with a tricolour on it. You know, it wouldn't worry me at all. I don't care about, when I'm visiting other countries, the fact that they're flying their national flag. I expect them to fly their national flag.
Often have been displaced from our country, aren't we?
So, yeah, Michael.
In a way, what I did like is Councillor Birch Junior, or to my left, explanation of why we should fly the Union flag. And I think that if this committee does agree that we should fly the Union flag, then that is a very good explanation to put out in the Sandhurst magazine. Because that goes to every house. And it's an explanation as to why it's going back.
You have already
I
spoken.
have already spoken. I don't know if I'm allowed to respond to. You didn't really. No.
Oh, really?
I was-
This is debate.
Well, I think that probably wraps up the debate because I think everyone's spoken. But you want to speak, Michael, or not?
Well, no, only really, thank you, Chairman, say that last time I voted in favour of the recommendation. I do believe it's appropriate for us in Sandhurst to have two flagpoles. The position can be decided, the height of it can be decided. I think the principle, as Councillor Birch has said, to have one for the Union Jack and to have the other one for I think the green flag is essential as well. You know, to have that recognition, the accolade that we've got year after year, richly deserved. And I think it does deserve a private place along with an alternative location for our Union flag.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take the wording as somewhere in the grounds. Is it can be on a building, it can be on a flagpole, it can be anywhere. You know, we'll determine that at a later date. But what we're essentially proposing here is that there is a principle that there'll be a second flagpole somewhere in the grounds, which will presumably fly the green flag, because we'll probably put the Union flag on the main current flagpole. So with that, I'm going to say all those in favour. 1, 2, 3, 4. All against? 1, 2, 3. That is carried.
Shame for flying our flag.
That's enough. Right. Okay. Next, moving on to charges for hall hire. Agenda item 10. To receive a request from a councillor to consider that the charges levied for the recent Cry event held by Sandhurst FC. And what do we have on this?
So as most of you are aware, we didn't. Sandhurst Football Club held a Cry event on our premises a couple of weekends ago. As we all know, fabulous charity and do great work. Sandhurst Football Club hire the facility from us, not Cry. They usually use their own facilities. I've not actually been round there to see what they do, whether they use the sports club, community room and changing rooms, I don't know. But for whatever reason, the football club came to us this year because when Cry looked, it wasn't suitable. Because of some of the work, obviously the damp, etc., that they haven't actually dealt with in their premises. So they asked to hire here, which was absolutely fine, and they did so, and they were charged accordingly. And they were charged at youth rate for that. But it has been, a request has been brought up to say, should we refund the money because of the Cry charity? However, Cry did not pay for it, Sandhurst Football Club did, and Cry charged Sandhurst Football Club as well for coming out. So there's no sort of free rein for Cry on this. They levy a charge to the football club, as we have for them using our premises.
So effectively, we wouldn't be waiving the charge to Cry. We'd be waiving it to
Sandhurst Football Club. And when they booked it, they paid for it in full. It's been long paid and long forgotten. And then this has raised its head. So I'm just reiterating a request that has come up.
Okay.
And the request is actually to
refund
the football club
for having the fee for using our premises
because
Friday night, both halls, Friday night, and for 10 hours on the Saturday.
But because the football club wasn't
a suitable venue.
Yes. Because of the damage that was there.
But they've used it in the past. That's the point. The point is that
as far as I know, they use the social room and the committee room.
Yes.
my question.
And they have still been hiring out the committee room and have still not undertaken the work in there.
Were we responsible for their other venue not being available?
No.
So
No. I don't think we
if we had shut something down over there with the etc., then we would be responsible for that. But I can't see where our liability lies in the circumstances I've just heard.
Any other questions, comments, anyone? In that case, can I propose that we do not refund the charges, because essentially it was
Second.
it was due to the unavailability of their building, which is there was caused by their issue. So seconded by Dale. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Okay. Request to scatter ashes, Annex 3. So let's find Annex 3. So this was a long, Robin Ranger was a long time employee of in fact he was the head of the ground staff for many years. I think he did, he said he did 29 years with the council. Now normally I would be against requests for scattering the ashes, but given his length of service and the fact he was an employee of the council for many years, I would be inclined to agree with this one, or to let this one go through. Dale.
To be honest, I find this very difficult to consider in a way, because what I don't know is where that happened.
I'm aware of where, but for decency, I don't want to share it on a live stream as to where it would happen.
No.
Where and when.
Okay. Then, but it wouldn't be on an active area of the memorial ground. It is, I don't want you to be specific, but
Does that matter? Is that up to us to decide? It's either a yes or a no.
Well, in case of, if it's on a footpath, you're going to be walking through it, aren't you? So I think that's what he's trying to avoid.
it's, yeah, but are you going to spread it onto the
won't
goal
be
mouth of a?
It won't be in a walkable area.
For splashes, it wouldn't be on the footpath, with all due respect.
Yeah, but it would. Is it going
It
to
will be in a suitable area.
It will be in a, that's all I need to know,
Mm.
but I didn't have any assurance of that. And, you know, would you throw ashes in the goal mouth of a,
I don't know, if my
I mean, I know.
If you're an avid football fan, you may.
Yeah.
I do know that people get their ashes spread on
All sorts of
their
places.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
their team.
absolutely. The Premier League
Yeah,
teams do it. Yeah,
No.
they do.
But I just
No, it will be in a suitable.
innocent, but that's fine.
Graham,
Has anyone else ever had their ashes scattered here?
Up to my
we haven't had requests for it. That's not to say that someone hasn't done it, but technically, if you are scattering ashes, you have to have the landowner's permission. And I don't believe we've ever had a request in the
Oh,
past
never.
for anyone to scatter them on the memorial park.
As long as it isn't like up in the air and.
Yeah, I mean, I know that he was a long-serving member of staff,
Mm.
and I would agree with it on this occasion.
Mm.
But I think we need to have some exceptions to it so that it doesn't set precedent in the
You know,
future.
that's the whole point. of this.
Anybody or anybody.
That's
The whole point.
yeah.
This is an exception. We won't be expecting any, you know, Tom, Dick and Harry, you mentioned.
No, that's what I think we need to be very clear.
Yes. No, we need to be very clear on that. You get a request from anyone else, the answer is no. It's
This is
only because
because
he
he
was
was
a
a
very
long
long-standing
There is a very
employee of the
long
council.
So without a policy, we can't just carte blanche say anyone else is a no.
Yeah.
We would need to consider them on a case by case basis.
trees and vegetables.
Bearing in mind, we haven't had one for
I was gonna
as
say,
long as you guys remember.
Yep.
Hopefully we won't be inundated, but
Yeah.
yeah, so we'd either need to consider doing a policy or just considering on ad hoc on
I think-
an individual
Let me see if they
basis.
come out the woodwork.
Yeah, see if they come out of the woodwork, as to whether we do a policy or not, but
Choose your words.
yes, okay. In that case, I would like to propose that we do on this one occasion, agree to have the ashes scattered at an appropriate place on the memorial park. Seconded by Graham. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Which one?
Well, they're doubling our allowances.
Right.
So no.
Definitely more.
Right. This is just an information item about how much we could earn if we followed their advice of the independent whatever committee. Any questions on this document? Who is at full council will probably be going with 0.
So we're talking against it.
It's nice to know.
We're not. It's an information item, so we don't actually vote on this until full council anyway.
That's all we do.
But it's an information item, so it's bringing it to our attention that we could earn an absolute fortune, but we're not going to.
And pay more tax.
Yes.
Rachel Reeves would love that.
Right. Okay. Moving on to schedule of meetings, Annex 5.
Printer ran out of paper, but I'm sure it's fine.
Right. Okay. Has anyone found any holes in the schedule of meetings at all?
No, can't see any.
Any questions? Right. In that case, can I-
65 pages of
Follows the same pattern that we always follow. Couple of anomalies, obviously the planning moves to a Tuesday if it's
Bank holiday.
bank
Yeah.
holiday.
Yeah.
There is one, I'm not sure if I can find it, which was particularly early. Oh yeah, that's it. August bank holiday is actually on bank holiday Monday is the 31st. So that would be the last Monday, which would be planning. So if we had it on the Tuesday, we'd be in September. So
Yeah.
that month it will be on the 24th.
Okay.
But aside from that, there's no.
That makes sense because it's the only meeting in that month anyway.
Yeah.
So
We will have to just be mindful of the fact that in effect makes 5 weeks to the next one.
Yeah, it does quite often over the Christmas period as well.
Yeah, the autumn.
but it is only 4 weeks since the previous one. So, you know, it's not like it's 3 weeks and then 5
Yeah.
weeks. It's 4 weeks and 5 weeks. So, which often happens. So, okay. In that case, can we propose that we accept the draft schedule of town meetings for the next year and pass that on as recommendation to town council?
Moved.
Seconded. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Grant awards. Next one. So we have with us a table of grant contributions. Which as yet doesn't include youth provision.
It won't either because we've done it as a separate line out of the budget
Okay.
rather than coming out of the
Okay,
grant.
right, that's
So
fine.
yeah, that's completely separate.
Okay. Any questions?
I presume that I can't, are we voting on this or is it for information only?
No, we are voting on
Voting,
this.
because obviously I do have to declare an interest as a
Yes.
trust in the Santos Day Centre, so I should vote.
Yes,
Fine, cricket.
thank you. Anyone else got any interest to declare on any of the grants at all?
When will we determine the youth?
In a minute.
In a minute.
Just tonight.
Well,
I suppose I should say, should I declare an interest on Santa's Churchyard because I'm a member of the PCC? And I'm also a church warden now.
But isn't that a standing? That's a requirement.
It is a-
It's
It is a
standing
legal requirement, that one. We can't really say no. We have to legally.
Okay,
part of our
Fine.
duties.
yes,
It's a bit like voting on the.
whereas the day centre isn't. Right,
Yes, yeah,
okay, in that case,
in my view.
Santos, we're going to contribute to Santos Day Centre to the value of £18,755.
yes,
But we're also, on top of that, going to give them some solar panels.
yes.
Yes.
That was a separate decision.
And we,
That wasn't a grant, that was out.
That
of
wasn't the grant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not part of the grant. They get, you know, they get a grant every year. And that was a separate request on top.
And the grant is index linked to inflation,
Yes.
which was agreed.
And we did discuss at the grant panel, can I share what we discussed? And we did discuss at the grant panel that we would need to meet with the trustees of the day centre
Mhm,
to talk about a funding model moving forward,
mhm.
given the amount that is funded versus the number of people.
I agree. That proportion.
Okay. But that's going forward, so isn't it?
Yeah, that's not-
effective.
it's
It's an effective.
yeah, no.
In which
This is
case-
the recommendation for this.
Did have a talk about it.
Can I propose that in that case that the grants are accepted as tabled?
Seconded.
Seconded by Graham. All those in favour? It's unanimous. And Michael was not voting, so that's fine.
Can I just quickly point out something else that's just reminded me of that another condition that we did put on one of these was South Hill Park. And the condition of them having the grant is that they support our Summer of Fun event.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for
That's
advising us on that. Right, Going back to the agenda. Press and publicity. Any press and publicity?
I'm not aware of anything.
Okay, anyone got anything? No? Right.
Yeah, we'll see it tomorrow.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
If you, can I just,
Sorry.
we made a decision to read the flagpoles, flying the flag.
Yeah.
We are likely to see activity on social media. Do we need to have any form of response available?
I would request that if my colleague, councillor Edwards, does make an appearance on GB News, and you do have advance warning of it. And if any of us are mentioned, I would like to not have the same situation that happened last time, where members knew and we weren't advised. So if I could just make that request, should he?
Should we be aware? Yeah.
Should we be aware? Yes,
That's
okay.
We agreed that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
The second-
Yeah,
Yeah.
because last time I wasn't aware either.
No.
Till after the fact. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't remember, don't think I was aware, but I was just told it was happening.
It was a surprise to all of
Yeah.
us, I think. That just means flag.
Well, I would hope that the councillor himself would pay us the courtesy.
I think that's why we have something in place, haven't we? But anyway,
Though I have to say the publicity around us turning it down is probably more than the publicity you'll get if we've approved it anyway. So I don't imagine it's going to raise an awful lot of interest. So but we shall
So
see.
will he turn the tables and say, oh, well, I've had my way, I've had my way now.
This is about what we're putting out though, this
Yes.
agenda item.
It's a gen- yeah, Yeah.
I'm just doing
are we still
self
live?
last.
Yes, we're
yeah,
still
we're still
live.
live. Yes.
Still live, yeah.
Okay. Date of next meeting to be confirmed. Well, actually, no, we've just confirmed it. Oh no, the town council confirms it, doesn't it? Yeah. But it's liable to be the 28th of May. Provisionally. Okay, in which case we'll go to exclusion of public and press. If we could return the recording off.